the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Texas Southmost College. Trustees present, Ms. Eva Alejandro, Ms. Delia Sainz, Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Mr. J.J. De Leon, myself. Also present is Dr. Jesus Roberto Rodriguez, President. Absent is Dr. Tony Zavaleta, and tardy is Ms. Adela Garza. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. I'll call on Ms. Aldrete to lead on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Next item on the agenda is public comments.
Hello.
No public comments. Item number 4, President's Report.
Thank you, Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees. Since the return to campus for in-person instruction on January 31st, the TSC campus is bustling with student activities, and the campus events have continued to be planned and held while observing CDC guidelines. Speaking about bustling activities, the TSC Workforce Training and Continuing Education held a productive industry networking breakfast meeting on January 26th at the TSC iTech Center Fine Arts Gallery. Local industry partners, both new and old, were in attendance to hear about the progress and changes at TSC and the current and upcoming programs that are and will be available through the College Workforce Training and Continuing Education Department. The networking event helped us hear about local business and industry needs, as well as to showcase our facilities and labs through tours that were made available after the meeting. Our networking continued as TSC continued the tradition of hosting the Mr. Amigo unveiling ceremony in partnership with Mr. Amigo in the Mexican Consulate in Brownsville on January 27th at the TSC iTech Center Central Plaza. It was a wonderful event that marked the beginning of the return of Charro Days to in-person festivities with the unveiling of actress and singer Bianca Marroquin as this year Mr. Amigo. I want to thank Board Chair Ruben Herrera and immediate past Board Chair Ms. Adela Garza for attending and participating in the unveiling. On another note, the TSC Raul J. Guerra Early Childhood Center earned the mark of quality as noted by correspondence received on February 3rd, 2022, indicating the program achieved a new 5-year term of accreditation by the National Association for Education on Young Children. The new term of this national accreditation is valid until July 1st, 2027. To achieve NACE accreditation, the program met or exceeded the assessed requirements. This is a great achievement, and I want to acknowledge Ms. Nava for her leadership and her team for the fine work they did on achieving this national accreditation. It is worth mentioning that TSC's Early Childhood Center is the only one south of San Antonio that has this national accreditation. So please help me congratulate the Raul J. Guerra. Our achievements continue as the Workforce Training Continuing Education Department celebrated the graduation of welding program students on February 5th at the TSC iTech Center Fine Arts Gallery. I was joined at the graduation by Trustee Aldrete. During the graduation ceremony, the students received their Fitter Welder and OSHA 10 certifications. The students were the recipients of the TSC Foundation scholarships donated by Brownsville entrepreneur Stephen De La Garza. Mr. De La Garza donated $35,000 to the TSC Foundation last year to benefit students interested in the TSC's craft training programs. As a token of appreciation, the welding program's students presented Mr. De La Garza with a scorpion they welded out of metal parts. I would also like to acknowledge Dr. Angela McCauley for being selected to present at the Grant Writing Through an ABCD Lens virtual workshop series on February the 15th. Dr. McCauley was featured during the February storytelling session using asset-based community development, ABCD, in universities and colleges. Her presentation provided a real-world application of ABCD principles to strategic planning and grant proposal development in higher education. Please help me recognize Dr. McCauley on her selection to present at this workshop. Next, I would like to report that Ms. Maricela Nava, Dr. Prissy Roca Tipton, and I had the honor of being named principals for a day for Peña Elementary, Vesteros Middle School, and Veterans Memorial Early College High School, respectively, and visited. While Ms. Nava and Dr. Tipton spend their days promoting TSC at their locations, I spend the day talking to Veterans Memorial students, faculty, and staff, and learning about their academic journey, hopes, and dreams. During these discussions, I share how TSC has helped students like them along their journey by providing them a high-quality, affordable higher education in a welcoming environment that is close to home, as well as the many programs and educational options we provide the communities we serve. I do want to thank Dr. Linda Gallegos, principals of Veterans Memorial Early College High School, for inviting us, and the entire BISD administration for inviting the administration of TSC to serve as principal for the day. More on our partnership with BISD. TSC's Workforce Training and Continuing Education Department attended the BISD Parent Consortium at the invitation of Trustee Aldrete, thank you, ma'am, on February 17th at the Brownsville Events Center. The WTCE Program Manager, Imelda Martinez, and TSC Student Recruitment Specialist, Judy Moreno, presented on TSC's career opportunities and provided information on workforce training and academic programs to the families that attended the event. I want to thank once again Trustee Aldrete for extending the invitation to the WTCE and Student Services staff to participate in the wonderful event. Keeping with tradition to meet with the SGA officers at the beginning of the semester, I met with the 8 Student Government Association officers on Monday, February 21st, to hear about the SGA projects, such as their mental health initiative and SGA recruitment of senators. They also asked for updates on Wi-Fi upgrades and parking lot repairs, in which I addressed. I encouraged them to review board meeting agendas and watch the meetings for items that they are of interest to them. In addition, I asked for their assistance with the best way to communicate with students in applying for financial aid, early registration, and student retention. Furthermore, I congratulated them on taking on their leadership role and recommended they take advantage of the opportunity before them to participate in this type of governance and democratic process. I wish them the very best and are very proud of their commitment to service. Also, you may recall some updates by Mr. Luis Villarreal, Vice President of Information Technology and Interim Vice President of Student Services, has provided you on the financial aid review conducted by the U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid Division. I will ask Mr. Villarreal to present to you the latest and hopefully final update on this matter. Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees. As you will recall, hopefully, in March of 2019, the Department of Education came to do a financial aid review. In September of 2021, they issued their final review to us. And in that case, they submitted that we owed $72,000 plus in unreturned Title IV funds to the federal government. We made an appeal in November of 2021, and we got the letter back this year that they've accepted our appeal because we found some miscalculations in the original amount that we told them we owed. So that was reduced from the $72,000 to the $68,000 that we recommended. They accepted that appeal, and we will be making payment back to the federal government for that $68,000 in the next 45 days. And hopefully that closes the book on this 3-year odyssey from March 2019 till today with the federal aid, financial aid review.
This is $68,000 over how many hundreds of thousands of dollars?
$14 million a year over the last 10 years or so, right? So it's minimal. This is an outstanding outcome.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Yeah, congratulations to the Financial Department, Student Services, and the Finance Department as well.
Thank you, Mr. Next, I would like to turn over this segment of my report to Mr. David Tomlinson, TSC Foundation Director, to give you an update on the TSC Foundation activities. Mr. Tomlinson.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees, I have for you the Foundation report for the month of February. I believe that you all have that in your packets. The first thing I wanted to cover was in January, we were able to attend the South Padre Island Chamber of Commerce grand opening with Dr. David Pierce as well. He did join me out there as well. They've got a beautiful new facility, and we were there to support them and represent the college. They support us with everything that we send them to be able to post any events that we're having, and so they're glad to do that. So we were there for them. In addition, on January 28th, helped co-host a meeting with the Executive Director from Workforce Training, Mr. Burbick Simon, on collaborating with adult probation on a pre-diversion program. This is something that Dr. Fleischman and I had some discussions on when I first got here, based on my previous career and being able to assist wherever I can to make sure that we get this diversion program going for the adult offenders, being able to take advantage of our workforce training and continuing education programs. In addition, in February, attended the Business Economic Forecast Luncheon on February the 4th with President Rodriguez and then Associate VPs Jaime Salazar and Dr. Joseph Fleischman. The event was sponsored by RJV Partnership at the Harlingen Convention Center, and they were pretty much giving a snapshot of the entire valley, where we've been economically and where we're headed. So it was a really good overview of that. As Dr. Rodriguez did mention, we did have a special recognition luncheon and graduation on February the 5th, which we were featuring the welding cohort, as he mentioned, that was completely sponsored by Mr. Stephen De La Garza, our donor. And as he mentioned, it was a fantastic event for the students to get to meet who had actually, paid for their tuition for this program. The best thing that I think the students took out of that and being able to have discussion with him was that he was very adamant about that this was not a handout, but a hand up, and that they were to pay it forward. So that was his only request, is that they do something for somebody in the future as they were given here as well. Here on the screen is a picture of the graduating class from that day. And as mentioned, Trustee Aldrete was able to attend with us. Also, the foundation, our foundation board of directors, Ms. Andrea Gonzalez, was also present, as well as Dr. Rodriguez and staff, and of course the graduates. So it was a really nice event. Excuse me. Continuing on, February 9th through the 11th, I was able to attend the Texas Association of Community College Foundations State Conference in Fort Worth. It was a really nice way for me to get to meet colleagues from around the state through the other colleges and the other college systems, just to being able to get new ideas, support each other on the programs that each institution is doing, as well as just really trying to broaden the horizons of our foundation and how we can do so much better in some of the things that we're aspiring to do. February the 12th, Del Castillo. We had a beautiful benefit concert at the Performing Arts Center. We had over 550 patrons that were in attendance that evening. It was a fantastic night. The band could not compliment the college enough on the hospitality. In addition to, they were so excited they kept playing. So they were only supposed to play for an hour and a half, and they ended up giving a 2-hour show. So it was really nice, and they really enjoyed that. So thank you to everybody that was involved in that, from facilities to security. I mean, everybody played a part in that evening. So thank you everybody that helped attend and make that a successful evening that night. Finally, next week I'll be attending the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, which is CASE, their national conference, and that's a way for me to meet and have the same kind of discussions I had at the state level, but this is on the national level. So I'll be able to meet with colleagues in my same area from across the country and just, like I said, continue to build on the experiences of other successful foundations. Here's a picture of the evening, the 95th evening. Thank you to Frank Morris and to Gabriel and everybody, Danny that was involved in this. The backdrop was amazing, just illustrating the 95th anniversary logo once again. And as I mentioned, it was just, I gave him a bunch of swag, and so the lead singer was running around with his orange TSC towel, and of course he was wearing the cap throughout various songs, so we had some really good coverage of that. Finally, some future events, as I know I've been bringing up when I do come up here, is the April 2nd Gala. In front of you, you should have the new Save the Date, which is actually no longer a Save the Date. This is the actual card that we are utilizing to go out and to ask for sponsorships. And on the back, it's got a more detailed description of what each level will get you. And so we're utilizing, like I said, we're using this to be able to gain more sponsorships. We're also in the process of getting additional door prizes so that we can have a live and a silent auction. Finally, the second annual, we can now say the second annual, it's no longer inaugural, But our golf tournament, yes, it's almost going to be June from the first year. So we're looking forward to the last weekend in August to go ahead and have our second annual golf tournament out at Rancho Viejo. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
August 27th.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Tomlinson.
Thank you, sir.
Finally, I'd like to share with you this month's video highlighting the activities that have occurred since we last met. Can you please roll the video?
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here for the announcement of Mr. Amigo for this year. While TSC is celebrating its 95th anniversary, Charities is celebrating its 58th.
What you see here started in 2021 because Mr. De La Garza donated $35,000 to the TSC Foundation.
It's a blessing. I mean, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the scholarship.
Mr. De La Garza, we took some time out of our class to get creative and make this special present for you.
Coming home is such a beautiful thing.
Happy 95 TSC! Llegaron con la luz del cielo encadenado, caballo muerto, sigo todo sangrado.
Oh, this is our town. We love it. I went to TSC for a few years. I remember cruising the hallways here and computer classes here at TSC and hanging out at the gym. Wow. I mean, I grew up in this whole neighborhood.
Luna llena la sierra, luna llena la sierra, luna llena la sierra, luna llena.
I took classes at Texas Southmost College, majoring in music for about a year. This is where it started. Very special place for me.
It's a great honor, actually, to come home. I've known TSC ever since I was a little boy. Growing up, you know, my brothers and sisters came here.
My father was president of the Texas Southmost College for a number of years. This would be a dream for him.
I went to school here for 2 years, and some of the best teachers that were architects of my knowledge and soul were taught here.
Congratulations to Texas Southmost College for 95 years of excellence.
That's some serious history right there, with this school.
Happy 95th birthday, TSC, Thanks for educating us and keeping us alive with that knowledge.
I want to thank everyone for their hard work and commitment as we got the spring semester off to a safe and healthy return to campus and really continuing to service our community. So thank you to everyone. It was a great concert, and we like to say the sun always shines on TSC. Thank you. That concludes my report.
I'd like to say something, Mr. Chair, if I may. We met yesterday with the superintendent from Port Isabel, and they had been kind of cold with us, right? And yesterday I heard the biggest news. They're in, they wanted to they complimented our president very well. But not only the president, they apparently got a tour that they fell in love with, and they're working very closely to funnel as many students as they can through TSC. I thought that was a big step in the right direction.
Awesome.
Now, if I may, Madam Chair, thanks to our president's leadership and the good things happening in Texas Southmost College, Ms. Science, Dr. Zavaleta, and myself for running unopposed, so we ride on your coattails.
It takes a truly team effort. It takes everyone's great help and your leadership of the trustees, which is a reflection of what we're doing. So thank you from your TSC family as well.
Enough of the love, and item number 5.
He can't stand it.
Consideration and possible action on the minutes of the following meetings. Regular meeting, January 20th, 2022.
I make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next item, academic committee meeting. I'll call Mr. De Leon to present the item.
Yes.
Without coughing.
Got this.
The academic committee met on Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022. Present were Ms. Adela Garza, Chairwoman Herrera, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC Administration College, and legal counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 6A, consideration and possible action on approval of matching grant support for the AmeriCorps Texas Planning Grant. I will call on Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Angela McCauley, Director of Special Education Programs, to present the items.
Thank you, Sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. The agenda item you have before you is for a new grant. As you may recall, we do have a grant currently with AmeriCorps Vista for indirect services. We've had Vista members helping us with the mentoring program with our Academy of Lifelong Learning. And this particular planning grant is for direct services in the amount of $75,000. And we will be required to provide in-kind at the amount of $18,000. So one of our faculty members will be working on this grant.
I make a motion to approve the allocation of matching grant in-kind support of $18,000 for the 2022-2023 AmeriCorps Texas Planning Grant, contingent on the notice of the grant award from the One Star Foundation.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
6B, consideration and possible action on approval of diesel engine stands purchase for the new diesel engine technology program. I will also call Dr. Kyle and Dr. Joseph Flashman to present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, the action item you have before you is for the purchase of 6 diesel engine stands and also the same amount of cranes for our new diesel mechanic program. Each one of these engines has a capacity of 6,000 pounds. We are purchasing from Granger through our Omnia partnership, through that purchasing co-op in the amount of $72,063. The funding does come from our current True grant, which will cover the cost.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of diesel engine stands in amount of $72,063 from Granger through Omnia Partners Purchasing Cooperative, contract number R192002, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Second that.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second that.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion on this item?
I
All
have a
those in-
question. The stands and the crane, that's included, both of them are included in that amount?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
6C, consideration and possible action on award RFP 22-13 diesel engines. Dr. Kyle will present this item, and Dr. Flashman.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, the action item before you is for diesel engines. They are used diesel engines from RFP 2213 to JSJ diesel cells in the amount of $142,515. The engines are shown to you in the presentation. They include Cummins, Volvo, Mack, Detroit, twin turbo and a cat, I think is what that says. So these are covered under the True grant as just like the stands in the crane.
I make a motion to award RFP 22-13 for diesel engines to JSJ Diesel Sales, Inc. in the amount of $142,515 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
6D, consideration and possible action to approve a new clinical affiliation agreement with Fox Hollow Post-Acute Skilled Nursing Facility in Bronzeville. I will ask Dr. Kyle and Dr. Pierce to present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. This action item is for a clinical affiliation agreement with a new facility for 2 programs, both our vocational nursing program and our certified nurse assistant program. The termination, the agreement's for 1 year unless it's terminated by either party. It will be renewed every year.
I make a motion to approve the clinical affiliation agreement with Fox Hollow Post-Acute Skilled Nursing Facility for the vocational nursing and certified nursing assistant program and authorize President Rodriguez to sign the agreement.
I second.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
6E, consideration and possible action to approve a clinical affiliation education program agreement with Ebony Lake Nursing and Rehabilitation Center for the Certified Nurse Assistant CNA program. Dr. Kyle and Dr. Flashman will present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, this is a new clinical affiliation agreement for our CNA program, which has 64 clinical hours as part of that program. This particular agreement can be terminated with 180 days' notice.
I make a motion to approve the clinical affiliation agreement with Ebony Lake Nursing and Rehabilitation Center for the Certified Nursing Assistant Program.
I second.
There's a motion on the floor, and there's a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
6F, consideration and possible action to approve a clinical affiliation agreement with Spanish Metals for the Certified Nursing Assistant CNA program. Dr. Kyle will present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. This is a facility that we currently have students placed. This is a clinical affiliation agreement for our CNA program. Once again, the clinical hours are 64, and we are able to terminate this agreement upon 180 days written notice by either party.
I make a motion to approve the clinical affiliation agreement between Spanish Metals for the Certified Nursing Assistant program.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
6G, consideration and possible action to approve memorandum of understanding between the City of Brownsville and Texas Alamos College for the co-op course of the paralegal program. Dr. Kyle and Dr. McCormick will present this item. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees, members, President Rodriguez. This particular memorandum of understanding is for a co-op course for our paralegal program, for them to be placed with city attorneys, in particular Victor Flores, and it can be terminated at any time with 30 days written notice.
I make a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with the City of Brownsville for the paralegal program and authorize the president to sign the MOU.
Second that.
There's a motion on the floor and there's a second. Any discussion on this item?
I had a question. Do we know how many students are participating in this program?
So for the city or for the program?
For the city.
For the city, there will be 2 students placed, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total at different locations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
6H, consideration and possible action to approve agreement between the Alliance Safety Council and Texas Southwest College. Dr. Kyle will present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. In October of 2019, this board approved several agreements with the Alliance Safety Council, which is located in Louisiana. It is the second largest safety council in the nation, and we became an authorized training provider for them that gave us access to thousands of online safety courses that we can offer to our companies in the area. One of those agreements is for OSHA training, and that agreement has been updated. You will find that in your packet. There are minor revisions. Those revisions included the addition of 3 classes that were added in the appendix, as well as course fees have been clarified.
I make a motion to approve allow the president to sign the host site agreement between the Alliance Safety Council and Texas Southwest College.
There's a motion on the floor.
A second.
There's a second. I have a question, a very important question to ask. Is this the program that they said that TSC would never offer because we weren't up to par
Incapable.
and incapable, Dr. Kyle?
I don't know to whom you're referring, sir, but I have heard that rumor.
Thank you so much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations on this. This is something very special to us.
This concludes my report. Thank you, Dr. Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Next item is item 7, Finance Committee. Ms. Garza, will you present the items?
The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, February the 15th. Present was Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, and myself, and TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. And we will discuss the following items. 7A, consideration and possible action to approve the contract for election services with Cameron County Elections Department, May the 7th general election. As we know, this is not going to happen. So what do we do here?
No action needs to be taken. There's no election that's going to be held. We eventually will have another board meeting where we will authorize or confirm the election of the 3 unopposed board members.
So how do I proceed? Do I, just no action?
No
Do I
action.
just skip it? Do I put it up for a vote? Do I?
To table it or not table
No,
it?
we
Tell me
don't
what-
table it.
Frank,
No, you don't want
give
to
me the
table it.
jump in.
You don't need to table it, there's just not gonna be any action.
No
You
action.
can rescind it from the agenda if you'd like. That
Okay.
would probably be the best thing to do.
Okay, there would be no action on this item. Thank God that we don't have to have an election.
May I,
And I
may I,
need that.
may I rescind this item from the agenda?
Whoever placed it on the agenda, which either one of the board members would make a motion.
May I make a motion to rescind this item 7A from the agenda of today, February 23rd?
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the item?
What would be the difference if we just take no action or rescind it?
I'm listening to Frank.
I'm sorry?
What would be the difference from just not taking action or rescinding it? What's the difference?
Either way, you can bring it back. It's, at the end of the whole process, there's no big difference.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
When will the election be certified?
Until after Election Day, isn't it?
After the,
Okay.
Whenever
Yeah, it's up to a
Frank and
future
Mr.
date.
Peña decide that we need to have a meeting.
it would occur after the day of the election. So,
Yeah.
After the election.
Because you need that one vote.
Date, then we'll
Yeah.
certify the three
After,
trustees did not have an opponent.
you're talking about May?
Yeah, it would be in May.
Election day on May or this election that's coming up?
May.
We were-
On May, the May election.
May election.
Okay.
May.
If I might, we will also be in close contact with Remy Garza to make sure that we're doing everything appropriate. And so far, as of today, we're doing everything appropriate.
Including the drawing.
That's right.
Is it the first time that all 3 are unopposed?
No,
far as we
when,
know.
before I came on the board, everybody was unopposed. Most of the time. Once in a while, somebody ran, like Roy De Los Santos ran one time, but everybody was, usually it was unopposed. When it was the partnership, because it wasn't advertised. So, but since I've been on the board, 13 years, I was unopposed once, but who else ran? I don't remember who else ran, and there were not, there were.
I was in.
Hmm?
I was in.
Yeah, you had an opponent, but then he withdrew. Yeah,
I had another question. When does our term start?
in May.
May?
May.
Okay.
After the
Now you're in
election.
for 6 years this time. Thank God. I cannot thank you enough for doing this.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Twice. You ran twice in 2 years. Unopposed. I
Next
might add.
item,
Sir,
next item,
go ahead.
it's yours.
Pues sí, es lo que digo yo. 7B, consideration and possible action on approval of budget amendment 22-003 to recognize spring 2022 lost revenue. And I'll call on, Dr. Figueroa? She here?
Yes.
Oh, she's here. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Before you, you have for your consideration a budget amendment. This budget amendment is to reflect the difference in tuition between pre-pandemic fall, spring 20 to spring 2022. As you might recall, we did this same thing during the fall semester where the CARES Act allows us to, I don't have a presentation, sir,
Okay.
but it's in your packet. to recognize the tuition revenue that we had a deficit for, and we're able to claim it from CARES Fund. So before you, you have this budget amendment, and I'm trying to get to the page. The amount is $967,768. So that's the difference of tuition between spring 20 and spring 2022. The breakdown on how we are hoping, if you approve this amendment, to utilize the funds will be with HVAC repairs, about $350,000, the canopy roof repair, and the iTech for $150,000. A new program, EKG and phlebotomy equipment in the amount of $67,500. Salary study, $40,000, and the MEP engineer for the chiller updates in the amount of $360,000. Are there any questions?
Make a motion to approve the budget amendment 22-003 for fiscal year 2022 as presented.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second, and I have questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mr.
What?
No.
So I know that we are stipulating the amounts that are to be spent. So when we decide, do these amounts come to the board for approval? Like
So-
the HVAC repairs of $350,000, would you present that to the board so we can?
Yes, anything that we purchase that is above $25,000 comes to the board, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So let me understand this right, Dr. Figueroa.
Yes, sir.
We lost revenue of 967, and the government is giving us this money back.
That is correct.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
7C, consideration and possible action on award RFP 22-15 for comprehensive salary compensation study services. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you, you have the request for proposal 2215 for the compensation study. This process started in January. We're here today to present. The scope of the work, it's to compare ourselves to similar Texas community colleges in size and in nature, to do it through review of faculty and staff job descriptions versus compensation. The review committee included Ms. Elizabeth Valderrama and Ms. Marcela Juarez, Mr. Carlos Pecero. We received 4 proposals, with Octagon Consulting being the highest proposed. The criteria that we use is the normal criteria we use for every RFP, and before you, you have our proposal to the board.
Make a motion to award RFP 22-15 for comprehensive salary studies services.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Wait.
There's a motion and a second. Any
Wait. Let me redo my motion. I make a motion to award RFP 22-15 for comprehensive salary compensation study services to Octagon Consulting LLC and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
7D, consideration and possible action to approve resolution for participation in the Goodbye Purchasing Cooperative operated by the Education Service Center Region 2. And I'll call on Dr. Figueroa for that.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Before you, you have for consideration to approve a resolution to participate in the Good Vibe Purchasing Co-op. This is through Region 2, Service Center. The purchasing co-op is one of the authorized purchasing methods that we have in the state of Texas, where they pre-procure items, and at times we use that economies of scale to take advantage of their pricing.
At Region 2?
Region 2, yes.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing staff to participate in the Goodbye Purchasing Cooperative operated by Education Service Center Region 2 as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
70, monthly financial statement report for the month ended December 31st, 2021. Dr. Figueroa.
Thank you, ma'am. Before you have the monthly financial statement report for the month of December. This report is in the same format we present every month, starting with the first fund, which is the Educational and General Fund. For the month of December, the revenue received in the Educational and General Fund is $4,012,590 is how much we had in revenues during that month, and that's the total amount of revenues for the month of December. Then we start with the expenditures. In the Educational and General Fund, the first set of items is salary and expenses, and they're detailed by object code. The total amount was $1,625,339. Followed by benefits. They're detailed as well for the month of December. Total amount of benefits, a total of $418,426. Continuing with the ENG fund, maintenance and operation expenses. We have them detailed by object code. You can see the columns that don't have anything because there was no expense in that specific object code, and they're all budgeted on the first line item. They conclude on the third page. For the month of December, the expenditures for M&O in ENG were $727,920. The next category is travel. You have, for the month of December, a total of $1,090 in travel for that month. Next comes with the general institution expenses, and again, they're detailed by object code. The total amount of the December expenditures for general institution and ENG was $174,344. The total expenditures summing the total of expenditures for the month of December was $267,916. And this concludes the ENG fund. We continue into auxiliary. In the auxiliary fund, and the revenues received in the month of December were $122,721. We started with the expenditures, starting again with salary and wages detailed. For the month of December, $94,687, and the benefits that accompany those wages were a total of $19,696. The maintenance and operation expense detours in the auxiliary fund start detailed again by object code, and they continue. For the month of December, we had a total of $34,770 of maintenance and operation expenses in auxiliary. There was no travel in auxiliary. There's only a scholarship expense of $149,152. And that is showing over here as a transfer in total for the fund. The last fund that we have is the general obligation. In the month of December, we had total revenue of $548,342. There is no expenditures. We pay our bonds twice a year, in February and in August, so we will be seeing in February the expenditures for this fund. The rest of the reports include the detail of all the expenditures and benefits. We also have the unrestricted fund balance report. This will remain unchanged for the rest of the fiscal year unless the board authorizes something. And the debt service payments that are also static for the next few years. Is there any specific questions I can answer?
The expenditures and the monies that we received from the CARES Act, the report.
Oh, yes, sir, that's another, another item.
Wants to run a committee in the board?
He asked if we had any questions.
That's the wrong item. Look at your agenda. This is just information. purposes only.
Since
Right.
Dr. Zavaleta is not present, may I ask a question?
No action is required.
Dr. Figueroa, as Dr. Zavaleta would say, is there anything that we should know?
I haven't brought the item up.
Okay.
7F, institutional care.
No, I'm still on 7E.
No, we're 7E. We haven't
I'm
voted.
still on 7E.
Oh, okay.
As Dr. Zavaleta would ask, is there anything that we need to look at?
But we're not going to vote on this.
But we haven't
No,
said
no.
motion and then discussion.
No. This is information. I already said that.
I'm making a question.
Go ahead.
Is there anything, as Dr. Zavaleta would say, that we should pay attention to or do anything?
No, sir, everything seems to be in line with where we're to be in revenue, and the expenditures are all detailed in there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
May I continue, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
7F, institutional care expenditure. And I think we agreed that it would just be, we would all be adding to the report, and we got it. If everybody had a chance to read it, or and has any questions, Dr. Figueroa's here. If there's no questions, then this concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Ms. Garza. Next item is item number 8, Student Service Committee. I'll call on Ms. Andrete to present the item.
The Student Services Committee met on Monday, February 14th via Zoom. Present were Tony Zavaleta, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 8A, consideration and possible action on contract amendment for the website content and design support services. I call on Dr. Joanna Kyle and Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. The item you have before you is for web content and design support services. Let me back up. Last summer, we contracted with Brightleaf Group to provide those services for us so that we could redesign our website. They have already finished phase 1, which was 150 hours. We are now asking to move to phase 2, which is an additional 240 hours in the amount of $39,840. This particular contract to Brightleaf Group will be through our Department of Information Resources contract.
I make a, okay, I make a motion to approve contract amendment for web content and design support services in the amount of $39,840 with Brightleaf Group Incorporated through the Texas Department of Information Resources contract DIR TSO 4201 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. Any discussion on this item? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8B, presentation on student services projects update. Mr. Luis Villarreal?
Thank you, Ms. Andrete. Dr. Rodriguez, Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees. I'm going to be doing a very brief update on student services projects that have been ongoing, ones that I originally provided an update for last summer. I can promise you this will be so brief they will do no justice whatsoever to the magnitude of the projects themselves. All right, so first, mobile application. As you know, we went live with the My TSC mobile app in the fall, and I'm happy to report that we've had over 3,000 downloads of the mobile application. About 75% of those are through the Apple iPhone platform, the majority. And this is just to let you know that we're continuing to explore new functionality with the mobile app, and one of the things that is holding that back, in fact, is the completion of the web redesign, right? So that was very important for you to approve that. Thank you very much. Transcripts back scanning. I think I informed you last summer that we were engaging a company called Shamrock Solutions using using a third party called Scanning America that would be scanning all of the manual permanent records that are in the Tandy Vault over there in the HR area. I'm happy to report that that has been completed. They have completed all of the scanning of the documents in the file folders, all of that unstapling, restapling, all of that. That's now complete. We're now going to enter the second phase of that project, which is much more complicated, and that involves the use of optical character recognition to create living, researchable, and searchable document data from those documents. So that is an ongoing project headed by Vanessa Vasquez and the IT team. Electronic transcripts, thanks to the work of Mr. Oscar Hernandez, we now have an agreement with the National Student Clearinghouse, finally, Mr. De Leon, for electronic transcript exchange. So that is now completed, and we expect to start marketing that in the very near future. It would allow us to exchange electronic documents with other secondary and post-secondary schools. The next three projects are going to seem very similar, and that's because they are. All three of these are customer relationship management software applications that you've approved. I just wanted to give you a sense of the scope. Eventually, in probably 6 to 9 months from now, we will be doing much more thorough reporting on the outcomes of these projects. But the first is the TargetX recruiting software. This is well underway. Technical meetings, functional meetings, internal meetings, external meetings every week. You can see the project team. I don't think I even caught everybody that's involved, but it involves personnel from all over the institution. And this is all about recruiting and prospecting students, right? So it's how are we going to communicate? How do we reach out to them? How do we target them? Who do we target, et cetera? Starfish is the second half of that, the retention side, right? Starfish, it does involve way more on the faculty side. So you'll see names like Dr. Busalim, Dr. McCormick, who've been very supportive, our deans, all of them, Dr. Pierce, they've all been very supportive in making sure that we have the faculty voice in this, because this is all about keeping our students, right? So this is early alert systems, making sure they're succeeding, they're matriculating, and eventually graduating. There's a lot more to this than that. It's very technical. We have to consider all kinds of workflow, and the two products overlap. So there are members on both teams, and that's a good thing, because we have to decide which product's going to do what. And thirdly, Ellucian Elevate software. This is specifically for the workforce area and continuing education. Same thing, kicked it off in the fall. There's a team that meets regularly, some of the same members, not all. In this case, of course, Dr. Fleischman and his team are very much more involved, so that we can make sure that the implementation is successful. And again, this is the first time that the workforce and continuing education students will actually be part of the colleague system that we use to manage all the 4 credit students, right? So we're going to have data flowing back and forth between colleague and Ellucian Elevate, and create new pathways for our students. I wanted to touch on this. This isn't specifically student services, but we're focusing on upgrading the wireless network in our academic buildings. This is a huge pain point for our students and for our faculty and staff. Trust me, I hear about this all the time. Thank you for the Fort Brown thickness of walls, etc. And this is more or less an exaggeration per se, but the intent is that we're multiplying the number of wireless access points in the building by sometimes 7 to 10-fold. It's going to extend the coverage throughout the building. There's a lot more to it technically than that, than just putting up APs, but we have the equipment. We've deployed already over 100. We've got about 70 to 80 more to do. And hopefully this will alleviate some of the pain points that we're experiencing with Wi-Fi. And finally, I've talked to this enough. You don't want to hear too much more about that. But the contact center is alive and well. I've already reported. We've got thousands and thousands of calls going into the contact center. I just threw it up there as a reminder, because this is also a project that will eventually yield a lot of data that with the CRM and the mobile app and the new website, we're going to have all of this new stuff to analyze and review to see where we can best service our students from both a communication standpoint and obviously from an operational standpoint. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions? Okay, this item was for information purposes only. No action is required. This concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Next item is the Facilities Committee. I'll call on Ms. Sines to present the item.
The Facilities Committee met on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items: 9 9A, consideration and possible action on interagency cooperation contract with the Texas Department of Public Safety for shared space at TSC Safety and Security Building. I call on Dr. Gisela Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar to present this item.
Thank you, Ms. Sáenz. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Before you, you have for your consideration and possible action, the interagency cooperation agreement with the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, for, to have space, share space in our TSC Safety and Security Building. The terms of the contract include for them to have an office within our building that's already occupied by our safety and security personnel. The term is 3 years. There's a termination clause within 30 days that either party can terminate this contract. There is no cost, but they will be providing patrol as they come and go into the building and have just that high visibility cross training and more than anything to be familiar with our campus in case they ever need to respond.
An emergency. Okay. I make a motion to approve the interagency cooperation contract between Texas Department of Public Safety and Texas Southmost College and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. And any discussion on this item? No discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9B, consideration and possible action on award of RFQ 22-06 for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering services for campus thermal plant chiller presentation. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar to present on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Sáenz. Chairman Herrera, members of the board. President Rodriguez, before you, you have the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, MEP engineering services for the campus chiller replacement. This was an RFQ 2206 that took place starting in November, and we're here today to present to you. The scope of work includes selecting that MEP, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer, to design the replacement of some of the chillers in our current chiller plant. As you might recall, we did some repairs to one of our chillers, but we're looking into fully replacing them. The basic services, it's the design of the project until construction and administration if we move forward with that. The evaluation committee included Mr. Carlos Pacero, Mr. Gerardo Mascorro, Mr. Jaime Salazar, Ms. Marcela Juarez, Dr. Murada Busalim, and Mr. Tom Time. We received the following responses with Tom Green and Company engineers being the highest scored. All of the companies that responded are qualified. This is an RFQ, so it's not based on money, it's based on qualification. So all of the firms in this RFQ were qualified to provide the services we were requesting. The criteria is the same criteria we use in every RFP or RFQ as dictated by the state of Texas. And the funds will be coming from the approved budget if you approve this project to be awarded to Tom Green and Company engineers. Are there any questions?
I just want to make a point that the half engineering says that it's from Brownsville, but it's actually a company based out of Austin, and they have an office in Brownsville, but they are both, Tom Green and the half are from Austin.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. They list their location in Brownsville when they respond to the RFP, but they are based out of Austin.
The one that we're selecting,
It's the
the Tom Green?
Tom Green.
Okay, so they have an office here?
No.
No.
The second one that has an office here.
Half and Associates has an office in Brownsville, but they're based out of Austin.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
anfitriones.
just have an address.
I recommend to award RFQ 22-06 for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering services for campus thermal plant chiller replacement to Tom Green and Company Engineers, Inc., and authorize President Rodriguez to negotiate and execute the contract as presented.
Is this your motion, Ms. Sines?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Ms., I have a question. Is there a parameter that you have in terms of cost? I remember when we did the, since it's an RFQ, when we did the auditing things, or RFQ, you said if they exceed this amount, then we'll go to the next one. Is there something in play in this?
So what we provide as part of the RFQ is a set of percentages depending on the type of services provided. For this specific one, it ranges between 7 to 9% of the total cost of the project. So the price is set as a percentage of the total cost. That's how professional engineers and architects bill for their services.
And the other question is, this RFQ is to design. Do they also implement and provide the chillers and whatever is going to be required?
So what they do is they design the actual project, then they help us build the RFP that will go out in the market to secure the actual chillers and the build out or anything that it's needed to upgrade our chiller plant. And they guide us through that process. Once that it comes back to the board as an RFP, once that company is selected and is providing the service, they do help us through the construction and design, overseeing that it's done according to the design and specifications that they built.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. During our committee meeting, it was brought up that Tom Green has the knowledge of, or the architectural plans, am I correct? Of past projects that they've done, so they're familiar with the layouts, whereas some of the other companies will have to start from scratch.
Yes, ma'am. Tom Green was one of the firms that has already worked with our chiller plants.
So they
have prior knowledge of the project.
Okay, thank you.
And that would save us money.
They will have some knowledge that they wouldn't have to start from scratch. In theory, yes, ma'am. For the design, they'll be more prepared.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9C.
Was there a motion?
Yes.
Was there
Delia and JJ.
Yes.
There was?
He
JJ
just had a
seconded.
question. He had a question, not me.
Contract. Was there?
Yeah, JJ
Yes.
seconded.
Yes, I did.
I was just asking.
Okay. Item 9C, consideration and possible action on award RFP 22-12 for campus lawn and tree maintenance services. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar to present this item.
Thank you, Ms. Sines. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Before you have RFP 2212 for your consideration and possible action. This is for campus lawn and tree maintenance services. This RFP started in December, and we're here today with the outcome. The scope of work includes one-time trimming project of 795 trees, remove 36 trees, 8 stumps, 11 trees in the resaca, and 11 small trees growing in a fence. So this is a one-time project that they will be working on this and any other future project that we have on maintenance of the palm trimming and other trees. Here you have more or less the areas denoted with the red marks are where the trees are that need to be removed. This RFP was reviewed by Mr. Raul Cano, Mr. Hector Espino, Ms. Marcela Juarez, Mr. Esteban Mesa, and Mr. Carlos Becerro. The pricing tabulation is, here we had 3 responses to this RFP, and the highest scoring company was American Cuts. We worked with them before, and the staff is, that evaluated the proposals rated them the highest, using the criteria that we use in all of our RFPs. The expenses will be coming from the maintenance budget.
Okay, I make a motion to award RFP 22-12 for campus lawn and tree maintenance services to American Cuts LLC for the period of March 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023, with the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year terms and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, any discussion on this?
Me, I
item?
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The 36 trees are being removed. Are they going to be replanted somewhere, or are we just tossing them? What's going to happen to them?
The trees that are being removed is because they're not in good condition and they become a hazard.
I understand, the ones that are
Yes.
here.
Yes.
So they're not salvable for
No.
our oxygen in this world? Okay, thank you.
And the ones on the resaca are causing some troubles. That's why we're removing them.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So, the cost of cutting the trees
Yes.
and the equipment they would use to cut a tree would be basically the same, right? So why not go with the cheapest, or not the cheapest, but the lower cost instead of America Cuts?
The RFP was evaluated based on what they submitted. The company that is being selected, let me go back. American Cuts, we've had experience with them and we've seen the equipment. We work with Chartline Coatings in other projects, mainly in construction projects. Their forte is not tree trimming. So the committee felt that the proposal from American Cuts was stronger fitting our needs
There's
for
a
this
rubric
specific project.
that they
Yeah, what?
follow, there's a rubric?
Yeah, but they all made it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but look at their
But they haven't
scores.
used sharpening coating for cutting trees. So I mean, it's a few thousand, but okay. We must have a lot of money, right, Mr. Herrera, to spend?
No, it's not a few thousand,
Yes.
It's a $2,000 difference.
$2,000 difference.
It was there, is that the company that trimmed the palm trees?
I'm sorry?
Was that the company that was,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
America?
Yes.
it was?
The one that cut the trees a few months ago, yes.
I sat and watched them, and I'm talking about professionals.
Okay.
Any other
The
questions?
difference is $800
$800?
on the monthly maintenance.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
9D, consideration and possible action on refrigerant and purchase for Fort Brown campus thermal plant chillers. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Salazar to present this item.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. Before you have the refrigerant purchase for your consideration, as you might recall, we did a repair of our chiller. And now that it's being repaired and we've gotten the green light that it's now ready for being utilized, we need to purchase that refrigerant to fill it back up. So we're requesting that if you approve the purchase of the refrigerant in the amount of $62,000 from INSCO Distributing, and we're using by board co-op contract 5, 65721.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve purchase of refrigerant in the amount of $62,000 from INSCO Distributing, Inc. through Buy Board Cooperative Contract 657-21 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Item 9E, emergency repairs. Consideration and possible action to approve emergency repairs contract for chilled water line at Oliveda Student Services Center through participation in the Goodbye Purchasing Cooperative with the Education Service Center, ESC, Region 2.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you have for your consideration and possible action to approve the emergency repair of Oliveda chilled water line. As we started the build out in the second floor, one of the things that happened was that we strained the pipes in the Oliveda Student Center, and now we have to do an emergency repair to protect the downstairs that it's having some problems. We're asking that you allow us to do this repair through the Goodbye Purchasing Co-op through Region 2 that was priorly approved by the board
Okay.
in the amount of $69,708.
I make a motion to approve immediate repairs for chilled water line at Oliveda Student Services Center in the amount of $69,708 from Texas Chiller Systems through Goodbye Purchasing Contract number 21-22-7D000 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract and interlocal participation agreement with Education Service Center Region 2 to participate in the Goodbye Purchasing Cooperative as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
Yes, I'd just like to know how much longer is this going to take to finish up?
About 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, I would say, the repair.
It has to be ready by the gala.
So, like in a month, then that facility will be ready for use?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Next item is Policy Committee. I'll call Ms. Alejandra to present the items.
The Policies Committee met via Zoom on Wednesday, February 16, 2022. Present with Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Chair Ruben Herrera, President Rodriguez, myself, members of TSC Administration, and College Legal Counsel and Board Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items: consideration and possible action on approval of the following local policies: BBD, CF, CHF, GCB, BBG, and GD. And I'll call on Mr. Peña and Mr. Perez to present this item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Rodriguez. You'll see BBD local. This is the first one on the agenda on the policy. You'll go down to the middle of the page, the cybersecurity training for the board members. The president is to obtain one of the recommended programs for the board to be trained, and my understanding is some of the members have already undergone this training, and the president shall also require a periodic review and internal review of the cybersecurity requirements training for the board members. CF local is the purchasing authority, which we've covered a number of times. Let me summarize this by just saying that when there is a catastrophe, what is to occur is we're supposed to have a special emergency call board meeting. And then if that is not available, then the president shall contact the executive board to get, and all of this is to get permission to repair something that has occurred due to a hurricane or tornado, things like that. If the executive committee is not available, ultimately the president is given the authority to move forward and make the repairs as necessary. You'll see the changes are in red. The additional green is a portion that we've added to ensure that if the board cannot meet, at least the executive board members are aware of the emergency that is being required and the purchase that is needed to be made. The next one is CHF local. The only addition to that is they've added firearms silencers as weapons that are prohibited on campus, which we comply with. Next item is GCB local. This is a public information program. The only addition here is that if we have, again, a catastrophe, then there's a suspension of the Public Information Act as required by law, and of course, we would comply with that and comply with any requests that are being made subsequent to the catastrophe, the emergency being resolved. The next one is, let me see, is supplement policy to GD local.
Mr. Peña, if I
Yes, sir.
may, this
Yes,
is
sir.
a policy amendment that I proposed, and I'd like to table this policy today, and we will take it up in the next board meeting. We're working with TASB and our council to iron this wording out and present it to the board.
Yes, sir. So that item will be brought back up as soon as we're able to resolve some of the questions that have been presented. I'm sorry. Did I run ahead? There's a 10B, which is, 10B is pursuant to CIB local. This is an issue dealing with our, I'm
I
sorry.
need to,
I'm sorry.
I make a proposed motion to approve the local policies as presented.
I second that.
There's a motion on the floor, and there's a second. Any discussion on any of the items? All those in favor, say, yes.
Mr. Chair, what I would suggest
Two,
is
four.
that motion be
It's a
amended
table.
to the table of the.
Okay, let's get that. Ms. Alejandro, would you include that wording?
Okay, so I propose that we approve the local policies as presented, but go ahead and table GD, the supplemental policy.
There's a motion on the floor.
I second that.
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
10B, updates on local regulations, CIB. Mr. Peña?
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Fred?
I apologize.
Mr. Pettis?
The last item that we have is what we have prepared as a procedure when we have surplus property that we're going to auction. And this is quite frankly something that we've been working on to assure that when we do these auctions that everybody is aware of the auction being taking place, what is going to be auctioned off, and sufficient time for the public as well as for the Board of Trustees to be aware of those things. I won't read through them all, but that's the idea. One of the things that we want to make sure, the two main items is that the auctioneer will be required to determine the value of any item or items of the same kind that have a value of $5,000 or more individually or in the aggregate. So that individual, that auctioneer, has that expertise and would be able to tell us that. If it's more than $5,000, then we have to bring it to the board, obviously, for your approval. And the only other big item there is the advertising in the Brownsville Herald at least 2 weeks prior to the auction, and that the trustees be informed at least 30 days before the date of the auction. Those are our procedures that we will be following going forward. Thank you.
This item was for informational purposes only, and no action is required. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Next item on the agenda is
Executive session. Executive session.
executive session. The board will now convene an executive session as provided by Government Code, Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We now go to executive session. The board will now reconvene from executive session. We have an item that we did not bring up. Ms. Alejandro?
Yes, this has to do with, is it local policy?
Yes, BBG local.
Yes, it's a travel policy. BBG local. It has to do, of course, with travel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this provision has been added to our local policy, and basically it gives us three options. In the past, we've requested reimbursement, but this particular provision allows for an advance when it's in the best interest of the college. And it's based on GSA per diem rates, so it's set specific amounts. And of course, it has to do with any college business meeting, conference, or anything related to the college that a board member requires the travel advance.
So I propose that we go ahead and add that as a motion to be accepted.
I second that.
I need you to read the motion.
The consideration and possible action on the motion. Oh, a motion to approve the local policies presented, BBG in this case, that was omitted previously.
There's a motion on the floor.
I second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Any items to take action from executive session?
I have an item. I move that the board approve the FY 2021-2022 salary schedule as presented in executive session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is announcement of the next meeting dates. The next meeting dates are the regular board meeting Thursday, March 24th, 2022 at 5:30, and regular board meeting Thursday, April 21st, 2022 at 5:30.
That's after spring break, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that spring break? No.
No, after.
Okay.
Can you repeat the April date, please?
The April date is April 21st.
I'm going to cover.
And item number 14, adjournment. I will not entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make the motion that we adjourn.
There's a motion on the,
I second that.
there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
We're now adjourned.